All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining the call today. My name is Susan Martens, and I run the channel in North America for our systems group. We are on the eve of a holiday weekend, so I do appreciate everyone who is able to join us real time here. We're also on the eve of the month close, and we've got 1 week left of May, and then we've got our June 7th Super Ink Day, 2 weeks from today. So a lot of pressure in the system, obviously, to get as many deals closed in May, if not sooner. And then certainly we have then that first week of June when we'll really be working diligently with our partner community to make sure we get as many deals as possible closed by June 7th. So just keep those dates in mind. I know you're all working very diligently with those partners to get deals done. So appreciate all the hard work and effort. But on a personal note, I really do also want to make sure that you all have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Take some time with your family and friends, have some good food, some good drink, and some good laughs, right? We all deserve it. So make sure that you do have some great time this weekend. So let's get into the business discussion here. So we just did the welcome, obviously, and today we're joined by our team and friends at Correlata. And Correlata is one of these companies that we invest with from an influence and an ISV standpoint to help us influence IBM systems revenue. And so Mamie Bryant on my team, Mamie, runs that group that does these investment cases. And what we wanted to do is bring Correlata to the team so you understand who these folks are, what value they bring to our client set, and then how can we work together within the markets, within our partners, their value through the ecosystem. And then they're going to take you through all the details, but just at a high level, what their software does is really pretty game changing. It actually takes, a lot of the IT information and data from the IT systems within a customer's data center and really maps it clearly to the business data of where we're trying to get to from a return on investment standpoint, from an availability standpoint. So connects those data points together to give customers actionable insights that they can then use in their business to obviously, drive additional availability, drive additional, utilization of the systems, and make sure that they're delivering the business results that they need to. So that's a high level of Correlata. You're going to get a lot more detail in the next 35 to 45 minutes. But before we do that, I do want to announce our channel hero for this call, and that is Monty Bowman. So hopefully, Monty, you're out there. But Monty actually has been working on a lot of different things in our the Linux One space, but really has worked very diligently with Correlata, right? Doing a lot of technical enablement with the team, also working with Poughkeepsie so that the Correlata team can run their software in the lab on our Z systems and make sure that everything is highly integrated and finely tuned, and really just trying to make sure that this partnership bears fruit. Because some things you got to really, babysit, but then once you get everything together, it's magic. And that's what Monty is working on Correlata, is to get us to that magic phase. So Monty, thank you so much for all the good work you've been doing in general, but specifically with Correlata as well. All right, so hey, let me turn it over to the team. We have Courtly and we have Pablo, and they are going to take us through what Correlata brings to the table and how do we work with them. So Courtly, let me turn it over to you.
Super. Thank you so much, Susan. Let me go ahead and take a little bit of control here, get you started on a quick overview of who Correlata is. There we go. Super. So again, thank you, Susan, and really just a huge thanks to Monte and the entire team. It's been an amazing pleasure being able to work with you here over the last few months. Almost a little over a year as well. So just to reiterate, my name is Courtly Stevens. I am the Senior Associate Marketing for Correlata, and as you'll hear a little bit here in about 5 to 10 minutes, I'm joined by Pablo Horenstein of Correlata, who's the Vice President, Product and Pre-Sales. And together, we really just want to walk through and highlight why it's so important to be able to manage both efficiently and really effectively this entire data center. It's become a very daunting word. It can be very intimidating, but we as Correlata have really stripped down what appears to be lacking. And much as Susan just highlighted, we really take pride in the fact that we have a solution that is able to help IT managers and administrators work with management, work with the boardroom to be able to move business initiatives, into the future really without compromise. So maybe I can kind of just kick this off a little bit by talking a little bit more at a very high level at who Correlata is. So, we do create services for delivering that complete and transparent solution around the data center costs. And the key word here I'm really highlighting is the cost to improve operational efficiency. And what that really breaks down to is enabling you to have a single, consistent platform that will allow better business metrics really across the entire organization to make better, more informed, more impactful business decisions. So Correlata is really trying to quantify what that value is, where that true value sits, as well as highlight the concerns that come from IT. Really evaluating the organizational-wide use, whether underuse, whether overuse of the technology that supports all of those business decisions. We've heard terms like data center modernization, digital transformation, et cetera. So, the primary focus then is to remain unique, and that's where Correlata's value comes. Because the platform that we offer through Core Assess, it turns that operational data into practical data insight, really improving the business continuity, which is that back and forth. And that ultimately reduces the overall costs. So as we start taking a look then at some of the top challenges, most of you know that businesses are driven by demands and competition. There's no secret at all there. But you also need to be able to look at ways to reduce costs and the demands that come with them. Most of the time that ends up placing a really heavy burden on IT. So IT feels that impact, and they're actually forced to prioritize. And anybody who has been in any sort of a breach situation, compliance, regulation, energy efficient, you all know that that burden starts there, and it's not always able to be communicated back effectively. So getting that visibility is key. And what's been missing is really that data center-wide visibility, which basically empowers the IT managers and IT admins, IT engineers, NetOps, SecOps. I can go on IT ops. It really allows them, as we say, to right size or right manage their entire data centers, whether on-prem, cloud hybrid, or on the edge. So, the way that we like to look at this is technology really is no longer the barrier. It's the lack of having that access to a single platform that can be interchanged between IT and management. So, when you start looking at IT, there's been a shift that IT really isn't part of the business. IT is the business. There are so many opportunities to extract that value. And it doesn't need to go one way and stop. It really needs to be that reciprocal relationship, because having insight to that will help you and management better plan and deploy those larger business initiatives that we're looking at for 2020, 2025 even. So, and this is just kind of a quick overview here. It comes as no surprise that any time any organization has gone through some sort of a crisis, we can use breaches as example. The headlines aren't made with today's IT administrator was fired. It's the CIO. It's the CPO. It's the CEO. It's the CTO. Someone is losing their job to salvage that brand, to reorganize the company. And there are a lot of other reasons, but it's not just breaches that are impacting this. you're seeing GDPR. In fact, we're literally 1 day away from the 1-year anniversary of GDPR. Compliance, regulatory, mandates state by state, and it puts an insane amount, I'd like to use a different word, but I'm not going to, puts a lot of pressure on IT to prioritize because they are trying to meet compliance, regulatory, and be proactive at the same time. And they are being reactionary instead of having the ability to be proactive and be able to plan efficiently of both the used and unused resources in the entire data center so that management can continue to move forward and explore those larger business drivers. One of the things that we've seen, recently is we've seen a lot of analysts talk about how current, initiatives are deployed, but they don't work or they're unfinished. And because we are only 1 day away from the GDPR anniversary, I don't want to use GDPR as the word compliance. As we've seen over the last year, GDPR is more about readiness. It's about ensuring that you have those data privacy practices, whether you started, whether you're in the middle, or whether you're finishing. GDPR becomes a mere blimp in that process, but we are seeing that digital transformation, GDPR being a part of that, they're halted. And they're halted basically from what I had talked about previously. It's other priorities and not having that complete visibility. So while, yes, analysts are talking about this, none of this becomes a surprise to anyone. I'm trying to move forward here, and it's not letting me. There we go. So I'm semi going to apologize for the cute little bunny in the screen, but there's actually a point of this, and that is that as you look at issues, priorities, demands, even the business initiatives that we've talked about, you have two options. You can either, wait until something happens and fix it, or you can be proactive. There's not much gray zone in between, because if so, you're not reporting one way or the other back to management that something has worked, or worse, that it hasn't, and how you move forward. So being proactive and getting that visibility is key, and that's really where Correlata, sits. When you talk about exploring this digital economy, we're really calling it this data center economy. It's about understanding that we need a really smart navigation and an organizational tool. Your organization has to be able to easily extract the right business insights, not just business, but the right metrics from IT, whether it's a traditional data center hybrid. It's about looking behind the network, reusage, usage, and being able to see and really aligning those business needs. So as we talk here really about what makes Correlata innovative, we want to bring all that together. We want to be able to not just identify a pain, we want to be able to solve it. And it has to be that ability to extract the key business indicators from the technical metrics in a proactive way. And that really enables organizations to drive forward and be cost efficient and effective, really, in the best method possible to create that ongoing reciprocity between IT, management, and the boardroom. So, that's just a very high level that wanted to try to identify the value of Correlata, who we're really talking about, and what that goal is. And I think that this is a good time where I can actually hand this over to Pablo Horenstein, which will finish walking through in more detail where the Correlata solution is most valuable to you, as well as he will walk you through a specific demo highlighting some of the key features that we believe will really be those 2, 3, 4 areas that you'll be able to highlight. So with that, I'm just going to pass this right back off to Pablo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Coty, for the great introduction and also to the IBM staff allowing us to present. So I will share my screen so we can continue with the other slides that are more technical oriented, I would say. I hope you see my presentation.
Sorry to interrupt. This is Dave. Does anybody else on the call have any questions about what Jennifer just said? Because I just got done with the training program that went through a lot of the number things. My name's Dave Tony, by the way. And I guess where my main question is, you're seeing X, Y, and Z, and you're not getting into there. Is it because they're haters of IBM, or is it because we're not doing a good job at marketing, or because we have the support and we have the structure and we have the team and we have the technology? So, like, where do you think we're falling down? I guess my biggest. I'm on the sales side, so I would like to, better understand where I can do a better job at my job.
So, Susan or Mamie, I'm not certain if that question was posed to you or if that's a question to Correlata. I was having a tough time understanding the front end.
It was more to you, actually. It was more to you.
Oh, super. So I'm sorry, I missed the front part of that. I was having a hard time hearing. I think there was just some background interference. I understand that you're on the sales side. I wasn't clear of the question and happy to try to address that quickly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'm at the airport. I'm waiting for my flight, and so but I wanted to make sure that I'm on the call because it's very interesting. And I love. I just went through.
It's still not clear.
Hey, Dave, we're having a really hard time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're able to
okay.
put your question into the chat.
I will follow up offline. I'll follow up offline.
Or
please,
type it in the chat.
Yeah, please do. We're happy to. We're happy to follow up with any questions you have, or have a one-off conversation as well. So thank you, and hopefully you have a safe flight.
Is this any better? I shut my headset off. Is that any better?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. So I just got done with a sales training. So does this sound okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I just got done with like a week of sales training, and I really like what you guys are talking about, and I hear what you're saying. And from like a sales point of view, I guess I'm wondering, how has it been resonating? Like, do we need to do an ROI, or like what's the biggest play in order to, get you and your team in there to talk about exactly what you're trying to tell us about? Like where you've had some problems with some customers, but then, and also had some successes with some other ones,
So I think that's a great question, and I want to start that by saying that I think it's worth us having an extended conversation with you outside of this webinar, because we do have some amazing success stories. I think it also depends on who you're selling to. So to better understand that, I know we have a lot of people on the line today, but we have had success in those digital transformations, in the security teams, in the federal market as well. When you're looking at everything from compliance to line item cost savings to merger and acquisition, there's been a lot where we can build out where the value is for you and your customers to really be able to highlight those 2 or 3 areas so that you are best able to sell that. I think, we do try to customize our response in the success. We can work with not only Mamie, but with Monte as well to ensure that you have what's needed to best empower, but maybe we can continue that conversation after the webinar. Pablo, unless there's anything else you'd like to quickly add, I want to be respectful of everyone else that is on the line today and maybe hold the questions and answers until the very end, unless anyone thinks differently.
Oh, no, I apologize, but I completely agree, and I will keep quiet.
No, this is Mamie, and
Okay.
that was a great question, and I will take that to follow up. Okay?
Outstanding. Thank you.
So we can proceed with the second part. It's okay?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Good, good. So I hope everyone is seeing the slide. I am Pablo Ornstein. I am the VP Product, and I will focus on more technical sales side and try to explain what is Correlata, what is the uniqueness, and how it can be used by you in order to provide an excellent tool to your customers. So what is the uniqueness of Correlata? So what we are providing is technology that will allow you or your customers to consolidate all the issues that you are facing, mainly in the IT infrastructure area, and how it impacts the business. So we are dealing with a proactive approach where we would anticipate issues before they have negative impact in your business. We are trying to breaking the silo in the way that we are covering an end-to-end solution and not trying to focus on a specific layer in the IT. We are focusing on the business. We are checking how your deployments and allocations are linked and in context to your business needs. We are trying to closing gaps where we want to make sure that also the management knows about what's going on in the IT and then reflect it to the managers and technical people so they can remediate and change what is negative impacting the business. And the last but not least is the immediate savings. We are providing a very fast path from implementation to delivery of benefits that you can have in a very short time. So how we are doing it? What we are doing, we are discovering and collecting information from different objects in the infrastructure, mainly in the infrastructure IT, mapping the customer's environments. The second phase will be to correlate the information from different objects so we can obtain the relationships that are based mainly on configuration and connectivity. So we can apply the rules that will emphasize the gaps on efficiency and risk that we are finding in the environment. And the last part is the reporting phase, where we have a UI that we will see an example in a few minutes, so you can realize how we are showing our insights. So where are the segments that we are covering? I will mention the major ones. The first one is immigration, where a customer is planning a migration. We can understand what is the infrastructure that is mapped to different applications, so the customer will understand what is the portion of IT that he needs to claim when he is going and doing migration. It can be a local migration, it can be going to the cloud. So this is the way we can reduce the amount of IT that is needed in order to move and not just to copy and replicate the investment that they have in place. The second one is the investment efficiency. We want to make sure that when we are planning a change, we want to make sure that all the IT layers are related in a configuration and connectivity way, so we don't have leftovers or fund resources that at the end of the day, they are maybe monitored by a point products of a specific layer, but they are not interrelated in a way they are not providing value to the business. So in this layer, we can provide a list of resources that are maybe configured and connected, but at the end of the day, they are not providing any value to the business. The next one is the way we are doing the relationship between the allocation and the business needs. We are checking whether you are providing the right resource. It can be a hardware resource like tiering of storage or computer resources, or it can be a service like high availability for the production environments or any redundancy and resiliency that you need to provide to the production or the critical applications. So we will ensure that you are providing the right resource, the right service to the right place and to the right application. The next one is compliance and regulations. We know that everyone is accountable on or at least the management is accountable for compliance and regulation. We have a great tool that the customer can check against our findings and decide whether they are covered by a specific compliance and regulation that they are building, and we will see an example in the demo. And the last but not least is the risk mitigation. We are aware of the risks that we understand from the security side, the standard security breaches. We are covering the risk in two main additional areas. The first one is mitigating the data recovery and the data protection. We want to make sure that your data is recoverable, that you are covering all your data by your data protection systems, and you are not in a risk that you will not be able to recover data because of your policy or because of wrong backup or a wrong replication. And the second one is a risk about high availability. We want to make sure that you are implementing the right high availability and redundancy and resiliency solutions in place, so you will be in a position that your critical applications and your databases are covered and fully redundant and resilient. So those are the main areas that Correlata would like to provide a solution. Another area is what we are doing with IBM. It is the IBM extension that we are providing. We started to work with our IBM, and of course, we are working with GlassHeart, is one of the partners of IBM. It is helping us a lot, and we are doing a lot of work together. And this is to understand the Linux One in particular and these areas in general, to understand the structure so we can add the mainframes or the Linux One systems to what we're doing in the open system. So if we want to make sure that we are covering the CPC area, the HMC layers, the ZVM and KVM environments, so we can understand what are the physical adapters, how you are connected and used, what is the resiliency and redundancy coverage by the IBM machine. And then we are doing in context to storage and switches, because the Linux One or the vServer is connected by the networking and the switching and to the storage. So we want to make sure that everything that we are allocating on those layers are in use by the Linux Y or Z machine. And of course, we are going up to the ZVM or KVM to understand how guests and VMs are using the underlying Linux One Z machine infrastructure. So this is the extension. So we want to make sure that IBM machines are fully supported in our coverage on all the open systems machines. So let's do a quick overview on two customer stories. The first one is on when the customer is planning a migration or he wants to make a chargeback. So what we did, we plan. We did our work in 5 weeks. When in every solution, other solutions, the project takes 3 and 4 times. We took accurate information, so we did not base on statistical information. We just collect the right information, so the customer has the full information of what's going on in the IT, and he was ready to do the migration. The third one is the license audit. We understood how the licensings are installed, where in which servers are installed. So we check not just the installation of the copies of the license, but how they are running. So we match the licensing versus the usage. So the customer was able to reduce the number of licenses regardless the way IBM is doing by reducing the processor. So this is one way, and we are putting another layer to identify whether the customer is using the licensing that he purchased. And on the cloud migration, we reduce the plan from 25% than plan as I mentioned in the beginning. The second customer story is a North American telco where we focus on efficiency. So the results were that we identify 52 risks of single point of failure that was in high availability breach. And in terms of costs, it costs to the customer potential cost of $13 million just because a failure not providing a service costs for the customer a lot of money. And we found 16 servers that were not based on the backup policy. So they have an issue that if they would like to recover data older than a month, they will not be able to recover. So we found that their policy was not according to the compliance of the organization. And on the cost side, we found a lot of resources that were configured and connected, but at the end of the day, they did not provide any value. I think that's it. I will jump to the demo just to provide an overview on the solution, and then maybe we can open it to questions. So I hope you see my screen where I am showing a result of the insights of the analytics of an environment. So this is where we are consolidating information about every run that we are doing as a best practice once a day. And of course, we can provide additional information in the bottom of the screen where are more historical and trends and analytics, so we can do more information about historical information. So let's go and see. We have 5 blocks on the top. Okay, we have the resource alignment, allocation, or investment efficiency, compliance, risk analysis, and so on. So let's start to see what we can take from Correlata. So when we are starting with the resource alignment, what we want to achieve with this block is to make sure that our investments are according to our SLAs or predefined settings in different areas. Okay, so we would like to understand what is our SLA. So what we are doing, we are providing the alignment parameters where we can provide information about, for instance, our billing production. So we can say whether we need to cover a single point of failure scenario, whether we need to cover resiliency or recovery time, recovery point for data protection, whether we need to do a recovery by a specific platform and specific blade systems, whether we need to work with a specific vendor or we need to run it on a specific location. So we have a lot of parameters that we are setting based on business application and environments. Once we are setting what we are expecting from our environment, we can start and see our tree where it's segmented by the same applications and environments. So when we are going and try to find out what is the business alignment on building production, we can see in different areas how we are exercising in building production on metrics, on availability, let's say in a single point of failure example. So we have two problems or two issues of single point of failure in the business, in the building production. If we are entering and trying to find out what's going on in the building production, we can see that we have a gap between the definition and the alignment status. So if we want to know what is the issue, we see that we have no alignments in two objects. Okay, so this is where we identify a single point of failure issue that is related to the visibility category on building production. Before I go and try to see other points, I want to go and show you how we can go to deep analysis and understand on the server side how we can go and filter on a specific server. And this is the server that, let's say, that was an issue with it. So let's go and see. I think this one. This was the issue. If I enter into this server, I can see all the information about the server, what are the data maps, how we are covering it. So we have 15 and 15, so we have full coverage. We have a single HPA, okay? This is something that was the issue where we show that there is an issue with the single point of failure. And then, of course, that we can see a lot of information, how the install of the packages and the file system is used. We have a lot of information, but we can go and see the topology of the server. And then we can go and see an example, for instance, of a good server. Let's see the draw. This is a fully redundant server. We have a server, we have the switches, and we have a storage. It is a full redundancy with adapters, with two different switches and two entries on the storage array. But if I want to see what's going on the server that is in question about it was 35, I can show it that we have one single path. So this is where we identify the single point of failure and reflect it in the UI, in the upper layers for the business people. Okay, so this is the way we can go and see. We can go to the server as well and do, for instance, a proactive, so we can see how in tabular mode, how we are in risk in one single path on all those hosts. So this is where the techie guy can take action from the single point of failure issue that we found in the dashboard. Okay, this was an example how we can go top level and go drill down to the single device on the specific host that is related to a specific application that is doing wrong in the single point of failure parameter. Of course, we can identify computing issues. So if I said that I need to be in a location, a specific location, and we have some red here, so we know that building production should run, for instance, in Boston. And when I want to make sure that I understand my issues, I can go and say not alignment is because we are running in New York and not in Boston. Okay, so this is just an example how we can see computing or platform. If I need to run on a bare metal, on a VM, or I need to run on a cloud, this is where I will specify in my alignment settings where I need to run my bit in production, and then I will check and say if I'm running in the right area. Okay, and again with storage resources and data protection. Okay, this is where we can identify whether we are providing the right elements to the right place. Let's go to the business efficiency or the investment efficiency. This is where we, let's say, go to CRM production and try to understand what is our investment. So we see IBM is part of our server investment. We have also HP, and we have a tab where we are specifying our cost, or your cost as a customer. So what we are showing is the combination of your cost and our findings to make sure how to know what is your spending on servers on IBM based on our findings and your costs. Okay? And then if I'm going to find out more information about the server, I start to see that I have different layers of computing, how I am invested in blade systems or blade centers, how I'm invested in hypervisors, and how I'm invested in bare metal. So this is a way I can identify, drill down how you're invested in the server layer. Of course, in the storage as well. So if I am going to storage, I can see information about the vendors and the models that I invested, and what is allocated and what is the portion that is used by your specific CRM production environment. So this is where you can understand your investments in different areas in context to your applications and environments. Let's go to the third one. The third one is the compliance. Okay, this is where you can ask us questions. Okay, so what is the compliance issue? We have a predefined template. It's just templates that we run in the past. So, for instance, if we have timestamps, so it runs a few in the 22, I think 2 days ago. Okay, we have some templates that run last year. So we can build our own template. So if I want to ask whether we have databases and critical applications that have high availability in place, I will check the first one. If I want to know if we have data redundancy on your data storage structure, if I want to know whether my resource application is invested more than a specific percentage, I will specify the percentage here. It should be less than 20%. Okay, so I can set a lot of questions regarding in different categories, and then I am going to the next step. So we can provide the scope of our checking. So I want to check by application, by environment, I want to check it by database type. So I want to make sure that if I will find and sales, application, and billing, and CRM, and finance, and I want to focus on production, and I want to focus on Oracle, okay? And just check only the Oracle databases on production on the 4 areas or applications that I mentioned. Okay, then I will make a profile, and when we say, let's say IBM, I will save it, okay, and we have a new profile. Okay, if I am going back to the profile, there is no run already available. So my first run would be now. I would just run it for the first time, and it will provide to me a timestamp. We would show us exactly how we are covered by compliance on all the metrics that I just specified in my template. Okay, so it is a great way to just do any time in the day. Just check whether you are compliant, and we will provide the answer whether you are compliant or not. The fourth one is the risk. we are consolidating the major part of the risks. Okay, so those are the types of risks. So if I'm going to a specific risk, backup client, whether I'm covered by the backup solution, I start to segment my information by application. So the CRM production will show to you what are the issues or risks on a specific data coverage on CRM production. So those areas are not covered or partially covered by your data protection system. So this is the same that we are doing on any kind of other risk, like covered on clustering, recovery points, reputation missing, and so on, single point of failure. And I think the last one will be the migration slide, the sizing. So if I want to know what's going on with my server efficiency or my server allocations, so I know that we have virtual and bare metals, and this is the segmentation, okay? We have on billing 65 total servers, and we have 65 virtuals, okay? All of them are virtual. So this is where we can identify based on the resources, on the storage, how much we are invested in, segmented by applications. I want to show you the last portion, which is what we are doing with IBM right now. This is where we are starting the deep analysis. We have the IBM tab, where we are consolidating information about your IBM machines. Here we have two different HMCs. One is a DPM base, one is a classic mode. So we have on a DPM mode, we have one CPC, and on the other classic mode, we have two CPCs. We are consolidating information about the allocated CPUs, so we can see the fault and how many are dedicated, how many are shared allocated. We can see the storage in different areas. You can see the adapters. You can see a lot of information. We are going to the DPM mode. We start to see only the DPM CPC that we are showing. And if we are going deep dive, we can see the partitions that we have on this CPC. So if we are going to the dashboard back, we can see the CPCs. We have a lot of information about each CPC. We have the partitions, which is mainly related to DPM mode. We have the LPAS on the classic mode. We have the adapters. So we have all the adapters that we found in the FICON area. So we have FICON and OSA, so we can select which type of adapter you want to know. We have all the information, like for instance, the capacity allowed, how many capacities configured. So we can do a lot of manipulation in the data to make sure that we have, and this is where we are focusing now to taking analysis on this information. Okay, we have the HBAs that are the virtual objects of the adapters. So the HBA, so if I want to know, for instance, on the specific adapter, how many HBAs are configured, we can see that we have two HBAs that are related to one FICON adapter. Okay, we have metrics. So we can run metrics on, for instance, on WCs. We can run it on a specific processor, and then specify the time, and then let's see, processor usage, then go to WCs, and maybe I am clicking go. Okay, so all right. This is the analysis of the processor usage on WCs over time. So we can do metrics and specify a specific metric, and then get how we are doing with the specific metrics over time. Okay, of course, we have a performance that is for the open systems, and of course, we have a lot of information here about each of the layers. Keep in mind that performance is we understand the relationship between the spindle to the switch on the port on the switch, the HPA or FICON, whatever you are specifying. We understand the structure of the server, and we understand the database, the SGA. We understand everything on the layer, so we can correlate the performance based on the information on a specific layer. So if we want to understand the performance on a specific host, we can go drill down and understand what are the devices that are linked to the server, and we can provide them on the performance on those specific devices. So this is a very nice way to use the in context of the relationship that we are building between the objects on the IT and provide the performance metrics based on those elements. I think I will stop here. I think we may have enough time for questions or to wrap up the session. So I will move the
I think actually, if you don't mind, you can leave the screen up, Pablo, because I think, the one thing that occurs to me is it just is so comprehensive. So when you drill down to each section, I thought it really was amazing, the data that you all were pulling together, correlating, and then, providing actionable, things, right, for the customers. So Monty Bowman, I know you're out there and you've worked with these folks. Do you want to just say a few words about some of the things you've been doing?
Sure. I've been helping Pablo and Ofer and the team technically for quite a while, linking them to resources inside the company to help them build their support of Linux One, connecting them to the HMC team, connecting them to our ZVM team, connecting them to our Herndon lab resources. They've been very patient as we've been connecting them along the way to test their code. It's rather a unique means and manner of deploying a piece of software. So it's been some invention required along the way, and Pablo and Ofer have both been very patient, and I am appreciative of the patience they've afforded us. We're getting them a copy of ZVM here pretty soon, and we'll continue the testing higher and higher in the stack so that they can afford better and better support of the platform. And the exciting part is the work we've begun with the IT economics team and Pablo, and that is to provide a recommendations engine functionality on his platform that will surface leads basically for Linux One from the data that they collect and analyze, and they'll provide basically solid data-backed evidence suggesting when Linux One is a great alternative for a customer to solve a problem. So it's good stuff. I really like working with these guys. I've been invited to Israel. I've not made it yet, but I want to. So we'll see.
Still invited.
Yeah. Thank
Great.
you,
Thank you, Monty. Thank you. So, folks, we do have the chat room open. If anyone wants to put a chat question in there, you also can unmute yourself if you like. We just ask, sometimes if you have a headset on, it does get a little challenging with the interference. So any questions, folks? We'll give it 5-10 seconds here. Pipe up. All right. Well, you obviously did a very thorough job, Courtney and Pablo and Monty. Thank you. So thank you so much, obviously, for joining us on our call today. As I mentioned to the IBM team, we will have these charts as well as the replay of this session posted within our team room, so you'll be able to access that. And also, I would ask, if you have any folks who you think would benefit from hearing this story, sellers in the field, counterparts in our partner organizations, please let us know. We'd love to be able to have these conversations with them as well. Oh, I do see a question. So do they provide a demo license for IBM's use and to use and explore? That was the question. Is there a demo license?
Yeah, we are working with our partners, so we are engaging with the partner and start to work with them. We are providing this as a tool that they can go and show the different scenarios to customers. So we are training them to show exactly what are the best scenarios that you can use the demo, and then they can walk along with this tool. So this is we need to engage with the partner, and we are working with the partner, and then we are starting a training session, and this demo is part of the training, and then a tool that can be used. This demo is located also in IBM Cloud. So we have this copy on IBM Cloud. So a customer or a partner should not be based on our facilities. So once they are trained, they have full access to this tool in IBM Cloud.
Okay. And the follow-on question to that is, which IBM partners are you actively working with?
What are the names of the partners?
Yeah, I think that's what the person's getting at. For instance, we know you all work very well with Glasshouse, right?
Okay. Yeah, we have a great partnership with Glasshouse. We are building at the moment a service so we can facilitate this solution in the cloud, located in IBM Linux One machine. So we are working closely with Glasshouse, and this is where we will provide, or Glasshouse will provide this service based on Correlata. We are working with other LRS, certain point with Vicom, and maybe others, but those are the ones that I remember. Yeah.
And just to quickly add to that, we're happy to provide, this sort of information catered to anything that you might have a question on or want to dive deeper on. So please feel free to reach out. That's part of this webinar today, was to level set that, but we understand that each question or each person might have a different request or have a different need for a deliverable or where things are. We clearly will work with all, everyone at IBM to ensure that you have what is needed to answer those questions, and really, to help sell and frame it in a way that is best for you.
Okay. Let's just make sure. Anything else? I don't see anything else in the chat room, but obviously the team isn't going away. They have their contact information. I think we have it, Courtly, in the file here. And certainly if anyone can't locate that, you can reach out to Mamie or to Monty, and they can make sure you get in touch with the Correlata team. So thank you again, Courtly and Pablo, for joining us on our ecosystem call this Friday. And everybody have a great, great long weekend. Enjoy your time with family and friends. And good selling. Thanks so much, team. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.